With this workflow, you can quickly identify and label your products with Google Merchant Center ID numbers, colors, and age groups so that you can ensure that your products get positioned the best in Google's marketing system. Whether you're a Shopify store owner with hundreds of products listings looking to position your products better on Google, or you're setting up Google Ads and need your products to be compliant but don't want to take the time to do it yourself, this workflow takes your product information and automatically identifies the Google Taxonomy number, colors, and age group appropriate for your products. Simply input your basic information into a spreadsheet, and the workflow does the rest. And as always, you can download this N8N workflow for free from my free school community, where we give away over 25 different business-focused workflows for free, with new free workflows coming out every week, along with tutorial videos, how-to setup guides, and a community of automation-focused business owners all looking to collaborate and grow their businesses with AI-powered automations. You can also join our advanced community for tech support assistance, marketing and business growth discussions, as well as getting to pick my brain on N8N, AI automation, or businesses in general. All right, let's go ahead and dive into this workflow. Now, first thing you need to know is that there is a spreadsheet that comes with it. It's called the Google Merchant Center Product Labeler Template, and I have some sample data in here. And I'm going to have to explain all this. And so the way this one works is this is the same output that you're going to get from Google Merchant Center. So if you are already on Shopify, or if you already have Google Ads set up in order to sell your e-commerce products, most likely you're already aware of Google Merchant Center. All you do is download a list of your products. Now, what's going to happen is most likely you're not going to have your Google category numbers, your age groups, your colors. And we'll discuss all of that in a second. All right, so it's going to look more like this. It's not going to have that information in it. And so this is just sample data that I had ChatGPT pulled together for me. And I'll go ahead and explain how this works. So what we're going to do is just make sure you have to have your product name. It would help if you had a description for your product. And then you absolutely also have to have an image link. All right, you have to have a picture of your product. And with those things, the Google Merchant Center product ID, color, and age group identifier will be able to work. So let's go ahead and take a look. The way this one works is I have it set to a click trigger. So when I click this button, it'll run through it. This is how I've done it for several clients. So they give me their spreadsheet. It doesn't have this information over here. And then I have to do a little bit of setup that I'll explain in just a second. But once I've done the setup, I will click this button and it'll run through it. And it'll run through hundreds of products. I've done a client that had something like 5,700 products. That one, it was almost a little too much information for it to run here in my console, in my browser. But that's why I have this right here, and I'll explain that as well in just a second. So what we do is when you click the button, it's going to pull the information from our spreadsheet. It's going to grab all the information about all of the products that we have. It's then going to run it through this if node. And the if node, what it does is it's checking to make sure that our Google product ID number, this column right here, is empty. If it is empty, then it will process it. And if it's not empty, meaning it has a number or has a null value, and I'll explain why it might have a null value in a second, then it will skip it. All right, and so from there, all we do is we loop over each of the items one at a time. All right, and then what we do is we have an AI agent, and what this agent does is it takes the product name, the description of the product, it takes the product type. And so if we come over here to our spreadsheet, we have a category right here for product type. And so it tries, if you have that information already, you might not. It's totally fine if you don't. All right, and so what it does is it needs to identify from the text resources that we've given it only. We're not looking at the picture yet. Hopefully we don't have to look at the picture. Maybe the color is in the name, maybe the age group is in the name. If it's able to identify what it is from just the text, we want it to do that first because it costs us less. But it needs to identify the taxonomy ID number, the color, and the age group. Now that taxonomy number, that comes directly from Google. So there's a list. All you have to do is Google taxonomy spreadsheet. You're gonna look for the one that comes with IDs. And I'll be honest, like the reason why that we were getting the null value before was because I can't upload all of this information into my model. And you'll see I actually have just a placeholder here. And the placeholder is for you to be able to fill in your data. If I come to another one that I was using, so here's a one I did for a client for baby stuff. So if I come in here and I take a look at theirs, I had to copy and paste from the taxonomy list exactly what product categories they might actually fit under. So I had to go through this, and this is something that you have to do. Unfortunately, I can't do it for you. This list is just too big. I would love to just copy and paste this whole thing into the model, have it be able to identify the correct code for you, but it's just too much information to do in one shot. Maybe in the next 6 months, we'll have models big enough to do it, but for now, it just isn't. So you're gonna have to identify your specific product categories, grab those, and then copy and then paste them into here, just like I did for this client. So I'll show you. For this client, they sell baby stuff, so I needed stuff like apparels and accessories. And so, we had, I won't talk about that one, but we had baby clothing and belts and gloves and mitts and hats. And so each of those has their own code. We have other kinds of stuff, hats and sunglasses and shower visors and baby health and grooming kits and what else? Safety rails. And so what else? We had categories under furniture, if I recall. Yeah, furniture. So bassinets and cradles and beds and accessories and luggage. We have diaper bags, which comes under luggage and bags rather than baby stuff for some reason. But apparel and accessories also include shoes. We had toys and games with doll houses and dolls and all stuff like that. So pretty much all the different kinds of products that this client could possibly sell on their website. I needed to make sure I grabbed it from this list over here, and I just pasted in right here where it says fill in your whitelisted Google Taxonomy categories. Now you're going to take that same list that you just pasted in there, and you come over to the second one as well, and you're going to come where it says fill in your categories and paste it there as well. It's pretty much the same exact model. It was just copied, pasted over, but you need to do it in both places in order to be able to capture that Google ID number so that it processes into Google Merchant Center properly. Now, what it actually does is it takes all that information, it reads the product name and description to determine the product's primary type, purpose, intended user, and key descriptors, and it needs to identify the main product type. It needs to match it to the closest semantic equivalent in the list that you put in here. It then extracts any other information it can, such as the user or user group, such as whether this was for 6-month-olds or kids or teens or adults or pets or whatever. It needs to identify the primary function and usage, and it's looking for hints. So does it say crib or does it say bed? Does it say puzzle or does it say game or does it say sofa or chair? Or it really needs to try to distinguish what this product is, because those categories are so specific. So if we just come here really quick, we'll be able to see. It has, as an example, so we have babies and toddlers, we have diaper covers and bottoms, and dresses and outerwear and outfits and sleepwear, and so like one pieces and underwear. So toddler underwear might be confused with baby and toddler bottoms, and so it needs to be able to identify the distinction between them. All right, it's looking for style adjectives as well. It's looking for whether it describes what kind of material it's made of, and then if it's not able to figure out what it is, it needs to return a null value. And the reason we want it to return a null value is to let you know, one, that it processed through, that it tried to figure this out, but also what we're going to do next is if this if node sees any null values, or if any information was not properly processed, we're going to do a second stage analysis. All right, so if we're able to find out all 3 pieces of data that we're looking for, so our Google product taxonomy ID number, our age group, and our color, if it's able to identify those all in this first pass just through the text analysis, then that's totally fine. But if it's not able to figure out one of them, then we go to the second stage analysis, and I'll cover that in just a moment. But let's go back in here and finish this one. So it's looking for that ID number. If it's not able to figure it out, it returns a null value. Second, it's looking for the color. So it's looking for any information about color from the name or description that it can find. And what it's programmed to do is it's programmed to list out the basic colors. And these are the colors that Google classifies on. So you might have a product called like Midnight Orange. It's your unique branded name for your color. That's great, but like Google's not able to list Midnight Orange. It's only able to list either black or orange or gray or the standard colors that you might see. It also can do shade variants, so like dark or light, or dusty or stuff like that. But it's not maybe not dusty. Actually, I say not dusty down here. But you can give it shades, but it's not able to really come up with midnight. Like, what's midnight supposed to be? Does that just mean dark? So we have to standardize how it's being processed. That way it can be uploaded to Google properly. That way your product will get the highest listing it possibly can, thanks to you complying with what Google is looking for. All right, so we ask it to standardize or normalize non-standard colors. So navy should be called navy, but charcoal should be called dark gray. And so like we have midnight orange. Again, what is that? Is that black? Is that orange? We don't know. All right, and we strip the fanciful, poetic, and style-driven modifiers. So if we have dusty rose, that's just pink. All right, so sorry, dusty rose is just pink. We'd ask it not to fabricate colors or infer it from the product visuals. I don't know about that. It doesn't get the product visuals yet. But maximize the 3 colors. We're allowed 3 colors in Google, so we're going to maximize them, try to get us all 3. And if it's not able to identify it, it just needs to return an empty array. And that just means it's going to be blank. It's just empty. All right, and then we're also looking for the age range. And so we're trying to get it to infer it from the text. Does it say that it's newborn? Does it give a month range? It's a baby? Here's a month range. Is it toddler? There's an age range. Is it child? Here's another age range. And then we have adult. So if it says men's or women's, or if it does say adult, or if it seems to be adult oriented, it'll list it as adult. But again, if it's not able to figure it out, it lists it as null. All right, and then it outputs a structured JSON. That's just a fancy way of formatting the information for us. And it'll return the ID, the age, and an array for color. It needs to make sure that everything is properly quoted so that it gets processed properly. And it never return just a Boolean null, or just a raw null. I guess Boolean is true and false. This is just a raw null, which is computer language. We want it to actually be a stringified. We want it to be string. That way I can process it properly with the rest of this. And we just say what not to do. Never include an ID number that is not listed in the list that we give it. We never want it to return a number value. We want it to be stringified, which again is just so it's processed properly moving forward. We ask it to never return an unquoted null, which is again computer language. We want it to be text that says null for us. We don't want it to output category names. We don't need the whole thingy here where it says all that. We just need the number. That's all we care about. And so just the ID number. Never fabricate or guess colors if they're not stated. Never include more than 3 colors. Never use the poetic color names. Always, it needs to give us the standard colors. Never invent the colors or assume they're there. Don't fabricate an age. Just put null if it's not able to be determined. Don't add any extra speak or whatever AI. We just want the data we're looking for. And never guess. It needs to be very specific. It needs to be the thing or it's not. All right, and so we give it several examples. And then what we do is we get an output. And so here we see item number 5, our ID number. It gave us 711. But again, this is just made up data just because it didn't have it, right? Because we didn't give it anything in the first place. So it gave me a number, but it didn't give me a color, and it did give me an age range. See, if it had given me a color, it would automatically go through this if node because each of these items would have been met, and it would have gone into the spreadsheet where it would have been put into the same guy we had here. It's actually the template. Boom, the template, sheet 1, and then it would have put in the thing into the spreadsheet here, and it would have put it all 3. But because we didn't have the colors, this if node will fail. So the if node is looking for an ID number. It's looking for an array of colors. So it needs to have something there. And it needs an age range, not be null. All right. So as long as these are not null and there's something in the color, it will post it into the spreadsheet and that item is done. If it's not, if there's an item that's null or if it's not able to identify the colors, then we go to the second stage analysis of this bot. And what that does is it pulls the actual image that we have in our spreadsheet. So over here, we have my products. So I have a water bottle, a Bluetooth, earbuds, a t-shirt, a smartwatch. And what I did is I went over to Google and I just found these products. So here I've got, a mug, right? And so you'll see here, I just grab that and there is my picture of my mug. Okay, so I just grabbed these samples for you. Obviously, you want to make sure it's your product or your client's product. If you pull this from your Google Merchant Center product list, these should already be filled in. So thankfully, there's that. All right, so what we do is we just do an HTTP request. We're looking for the image link. We're just downloading the link, downloading that picture. And then we're going to edit the image so that we're not processing huge pictures, because if you have big pictures, huge files, it's going to tear through your tokens. So what we do is we just take the picture, we reduce it to 30% its size using this node, this edit image node, and then we run it through an OpenAI image analysis bot. So I'm just using 4.0 Mini. If you want, you can up the model, but 4.0 Mini works pretty well to write a pretty decent description. And that's all this does. So here, we'll come in here. It's a professional image analyzer. And so it's just supposed to I figure out, based on the product title, the description, and the image, what it is we're working with. So we're looking for what type of product it is, the size or scale, the colors, the materials, the shape and structure, any designs, the packaging if it's there, the product use or purpose, anything it can find related to the product. It's also supposed to try to identify what it thinks the age group is based on the picture. So if it sees a onesie, it's probably either going to say this is probably meant for a newborn or an infant. That way, just based on what the product is, okay? And thankfully, the models are good enough that they're able to figure this out. I was testing this yesterday. I had a product that I was, for a different workflow even, it was same prompt. But I had a product that I was telling it was soap, and it was a round ball of soap, but the image I was giving it was actually a little gold bead. And so despite the fact that I told it it was soap and that this product was soap, it knew it was a bead, and the product description it wrote out was a bead, and it was drilled, and it told me the size of the hole, and it was all right. I'm like, oh shoot. So you're not gonna be able to trick the model. It is really good. It is able to identify what these products are. All right, and so it needs to output that information and just create a nice description, and here's the title we give it, here's the description we give it. All right, and so it runs through, it comes up with this nice little description. So the product is a handmade ceramic coffee mug, features a round, slightly bulbous shape with a wide opening at the top. The mug is predominantly green, exhibiting a unique glaze that appears glossy with a textured finish, likely creating a tactile feel. Decorative element resembling a small leaf or floral design is embossed on the surface, contributing to its artisanal appeal. The handle is sturdily attached, providing an ergonomic grip. The interior of the mug is also glazed, suggesting it is meant for both aesthetic and functional purposes. It is placed on a light textured linen napkin alongside a round waffle cookie. And that's exactly right. That's exactly what it is right there. So it works perfectly. It then feeds that description into another model. All right, and so what this one does is it grabs the description that our visual model just made. It also grabs the product name. And if we have the product already in the sheet, or product ID already in the sheet, or the previous model was able to figure it out, and same with the age group, either it was in the sheet or it was able to figure it out, or if the color was already in the sheet, or if it was able to figure it out, then it processes all of that information and it runs it pretty much exactly the same as it was before. It runs it, and we have to have our ID numbers. And what it does is it tries to use the visual description and the product name to determine product's type, function, target user, and key features. We ask it to prioritize the visual description. And the reason for that is because the text descriptions weren't able to get us anything. So we're gonna focus on the visual description this time. And then if any of the fields have been provided thus far, use those if they clearly and validly match. All right, so if the first model comes out with a 7-Eleven as an example, because here the mug came out with a 7-Eleven, and this model does a double check and sees that 7-Eleven is not coffee mugs, but it's actually pants. Well, obviously don't use that. But that would be really weird if it did that. So just make sure you have your product category, your taxonomy categories in there correctly. You shouldn't have that problem. But then what it does is it's, again, looking for that product ID. It's matching for the same things it did before. It's looking for the color. It's trying to match for the same things before. And the age range, again, matching for the same things before. But it's basing it off of the description that the visual model made. All right, and then it's going to output an ID, a color, and an age. And so again, it's only allowed to use the IDs in the list. I've worked very hard to get this to not hallucinate. By and large, it does not. If you're working with thousands and thousands of products, odds are that there will be a hallucination in there, and that's just how it works. The AIs are not perfect. But I can tell you, when I was running this one over here for the baby one for another client, we were running, I ran 680 products for them. Out of the 680, we had about 80 still come back with some null values, specifically the null ID values. But it's better than having to do that by hand. The client told me that she anticipated it was going to take her about 8 hours to be able to do it all by hand, to go through, figure out where it is in the list, figure out the colors, figure out all the other information, the age range for it, and hand put it in. The bot was able to go through all 680 options for her, with about 80 falling out in about an hour. And so all she had to do was go back in and fill in those last remaining 80. And the reason why, I found out later, why the 80 didn't work so well was because she hadn't given me all of the taxonomy numbers that I needed. There were a few extra things that were not included in the list that she'd given me that her products fit into, that when she went in and figured out what they were, I was able to test it and back test it and like, oh, well, if you had given me them, they would have worked. So understand that so long as your ID list is right, it should give you the right number, all right? Colors, it should give you all that. And the age range, if it's available, if it's in there, it'll give you that. I've done this for a few clothing companies. I did this for, what was the other company that I did? It was, they sold one type of product, actually, now that I think about it. And so their list of items was really, really limited. I don't think I had, so that one was like 5,700 products. And I had maybe 100 items that did not get ID numbers. And additionally, I also have seen sometimes it will skip products. And I don't know why. It runs it through. I see it in the system, but it just doesn't output any information at all for it. I don't know if for some reason the model had a hiccup or if N8N had a hiccup, but just be aware that like all things related to AI, it's not going to be 100% perfect. You are going to want to go through and double check to make sure that there aren't any extra null values in here. Make sure that your colors are all filled in. Make sure your age groups are all filled in. But just a quick eyeball will figure that out for you. It's better than spending hours and hours and hours and doing it yourself. Either way, what this does is it outputs it, and we're using a structured JSON output parser. So just ID, color, age, and then it takes it and it puts it all into the spreadsheet. And so into our template, and it just matches it up down here. ID, age, and color. And so that is the Google Merchant Center product ID, color, and age group identifier. So as you can see, this workflow allows you to quickly label your Google Merchant Center product list with the appropriate ID numbers, colors, and age groups so that your products will be featured more highly by Google, ranking your products higher and allowing you to sell more. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like and share the video because it really does help this content get out to the people who need it. And also make sure to click the link in the description below in order to download today's workflow for free from my free school community. As always, I'm Bradford Carlton. Let's automate your success together. I'll see you inside.